Honey, come sit down for a minute. I need to tell you something, and I need you to really listen. Not just hear me, but listen. I am 98 years old. 98. I have watched this country go through World War II. I watched a man walk on the moon. I watched the internet change everything about how people talk to each other. And out of everything I've seen in 98 years of living, the thing that breaks my heart the most is watching people throw away their marriages like they're tossing out an old paper cup. Your marriage isn't failing because you fell out of love. Your marriage is failing because nobody ever told you what love actually is. They sold you a lie, a pretty, sparkly, exciting lie, and you believed it. And honey, I don't blame you one bit, because I almost believed it too. But my husband Harold, he sat across from me at this same kitchen table for 63 years. 63 years, and I'm going to tell you exactly how we did it. So don't you go anywhere. You know what I think the biggest problem is with marriage today? Movies. I'm serious. Don't laugh at me. Those movies, and now those shows on your little phones, they showed you the most beautiful, electric, heart-pounding beginning of love. And then the screen goes black. Credits roll. Everybody's happy. They never show you what comes after. They never show you year 7 when the excitement is gone and you're just tired. You're both just tired. And you're looking at this person across the dinner table and thinking, is this it? Is this all there is? They never show you the Tuesday nights, not the proposal, not the honeymoon, not the first dance. The Tuesday nights, when nobody's dressed up, nobody's trying to impress anybody. The dishes need to be done. The kids are fighting in the other room. Your back hurts. You're stressed about money. And you look at your husband and you think, I don't feel that butterfly feeling anymore. And then, and this is the part that scares me, then you go on your phone and you see somebody else's highlight reel. Some couple holding hands on a beach somewhere, looking perfect, looking happy, looking like they've got that spark. And you start to wonder, maybe I married the wrong person. Maybe real love is supposed to feel different than this. Honey, let me tell you something my mama told me when I was just a young girl in Georgia. She said, baby, butterflies don't build houses. People do. That spark you're chasing, that electric, can't eat, can't sleep feeling, that is a beginning. It is not a destination. It was never supposed to last forever. God designed it that way on purpose, to get you in the door. But once you're in the door, you have to build something. And building is not glamorous. Building is hard. Building is dirty. Building means you're going to get splinters in your hands. But what you build together, that is something no spark can ever give you. I met Harold in 1951. I was 23 years old, working at a diner just outside of Nashville. And this man walks in, tall, quiet, serious looking, and he sits at the counter and orders black coffee and scrambled eggs. And I thought he was the most boring man I had ever seen in my life. I'm not joking. I thought, who is this man? He barely smiled. He read his newspaper. He tipped exactly 15 cents. Not a penny more, not a penny less. But he came back the next morning, and the morning after that. And after about 3 weeks of this, he looked up from his newspaper and he said, and I remember this like it was yesterday, he said, "Miss, I think you are the hardest working woman I have ever seen, and I would very much like to take you to dinner on Friday if you would allow me." Now that was not exciting. That was not a movie moment. There were no fireworks. My heart didn't stop. But something in my gut said, this man is real, and real is rare. We got married 8 months later. Simple little church wedding. My dress cost $12. We didn't have a honeymoon. Harold was saving up to buy his first truck so he could start his own delivery business. But I tell you what, I was happy. Not the jumping up and down kind of happy, the quiet kind of happy, the kind that sits in your chest like a warm cup of tea. Now, did we have hard times? Oh Lord, did we have hard times. We lost our first baby, a little boy. We never even got to bring him home from the hospital. I won't talk too much about that because even now it still hurts. But I will tell you this. That was the moment I understood what marriage really is. Because when I got home from that hospital with empty arms, Harold didn't try to fix it. He didn't tell me it would be okay. He didn't give me some speech. He just sat down next to me on the edge of the bed, put his arm around me, and he cried with me. That man cried with me, and I knew right then, this is it. This is the real thing, not the butterflies, not the spark. This, a person who will sit in the dark with you and not run away. Now I want to talk to you about something that people don't like to talk about. The years when you don't like each other very much. Isn't that something? You stop being kind to the person you love the most. And then I got real honest with myself. And I asked a harder question. Am I working? Not, is Harold doing enough? But, am I doing enough? See, when things get hard in a marriage, both people tend to do the same thing. They start keeping score. They start making a mental list of everything the other person is doing wrong. And they convince themselves that if the other person would just change, everything would be fine. But that is a trap. because you can't change another person. You can only change yourself. So I changed myself, and the answer was no. See, when things get hard in a marriage, both people tend to do the same thing. They start keeping score. They start making a mental list of everything the other person is doing wrong. And they convince themselves that if the other person would just change, everything would be fine. But that is a trap, because you can't change another person. You can only change yourself. So I changed myself. I started getting up 15 minutes earlier to make Harold his coffee before he left for work. Not because he asked me to, just because I remembered that that little thing used to make him smile. And you know what happened? That man started coming home earlier, started asking me about my day again, started reaching for my hand at church. We didn't go to marriage counseling. We didn't read a self-help book. We didn't have a big dramatic conversation about our feelings. I just made the coffee. Sometimes love isn't complicated. Sometimes you just have to decide to try again, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. I started getting up 15 minutes earlier to make Harold his coffee before he left for work. Not because he asked me to, just because I remembered that that little thing used to make him smile. And you know what happened? That man started coming home earlier. Started asking me about my day again, started reaching for my hand at church. We didn't go to marriage counseling. We didn't read a self-help book. We didn't have a big dramatic conversation about our feelings. I just made the coffee. Sometimes love isn't complicated. Sometimes you just have to decide to try again, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Now let me say something that might sting a little, and I say it with love. All of this comes from love. A lot of people today, and I see this with my own grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. A lot of people today are addicted to the feeling of new. New relationship, new excitement, new butterflies. The moment a relationship starts to feel comfortable, the moment it stops being exciting, they start to pull away. They start scrolling through their phone looking at other options. They start having what they call an emotional connection with a coworker. They start wondering if the grass is greener somewhere else. And here's the truth about grass. The grass is greener where you water it. That's it. That's the whole secret. I just saved you $200 an hour in therapy. But I'm serious. That grass you're looking at over there, that looks so fresh and green and beautiful. That person doesn't know your bad moods yet. They haven't seen you sick. They haven't argued with you about money. They haven't seen you at your absolute worst. That's not love. That's a preview. And previews are always exciting. That's literally their whole job, to get you excited. But you can't live in a preview. You have to pick a movie and watch the whole thing, even the slow parts, even the hard parts, even the parts where nothing exciting is happening and you're just sitting together in comfortable silence. That silence, oh honey, that silence is not empty. That silence is full of 60 years of history, full of every hard thing you survived together, full of inside jokes and old memories, and the kind of knowing that only comes from truly, deeply staying. Harold and I, toward the end of his life, we would sit on the porch after dinner, and sometimes we wouldn't say a word for an hour, and it was the best hour of my day. Real love is not a feeling. I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds cold, but hear me out. Real love is a decision. It is a decision you make every single day, sometimes every single hour. Real love is, I am choosing you today, even though you left your socks on the floor again, even though we're fighting about the same thing we've been fighting about for 20 years. Even though you're not the same person I married, and I'm not the same person either, I choose you anyway. Harold got real sick in his last few years. His mind started to go, what they call dementia, and there were days when he didn't know who I was. He would look at me, this man I had been married to for 63 years, and there was no recognition in his eyes. None. And people would ask me, how do you do it? How do you keep going? And I said, because he knew me for 60 years before he forgot, and I know him still. That is love. Love is showing up on the days when you don't get anything back. Love is making the coffee even when nobody says thank you. Love is choosing the person even when choosing them is hard. Now, I am not telling you to stay in something dangerous. I am not telling you to stay where there is cruelty or harm. Please hear me on that. If you are not safe, you get yourself safe. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who have a good person right in front of them, a genuinely good, decent, loving person, and they're walking away because they don't feel the spark anymore, because things got routine, because it got too comfortable. Honey, comfortable is a blessing. Do you know how many people in this world would give anything to have someone comfortable, someone steady, someone who knows them completely and stays anyway? Don't throw that away. So let me tell you what I would tell every couple today if I could. First, put down the phone. I mean it. I know it sounds simple, but you cannot be present in your marriage if half your mind is somewhere else. Put it down during dinner. Put it down before bed. Look at your person. Actually look at them. When is the last time you looked at your spouse? Not at your phone, not at the TV, but at the actual face of the person you married, and really saw them. Try it tonight. Second, stop waiting for the feeling to come back before you act loving. Act loving first. Do something kind today, not because you feel like it. Do it especially because you don't feel like it. Make the coffee, write the note, say the nice thing. The feelings follow the actions, not the other way around. That's what nobody tells you. Third, fight for the marriage, not in the marriage. There's a big difference. Fighting in the marriage means you're fighting against each other. Fighting for the marriage means you're both fighting against the problem. You are on the same team. You are not enemies. Next time you're in an argument, stop and ask yourself, what am I actually trying to fix here? And then fight together to fix it. Fourth, talk to each other. The real talk. Not about schedules, not about the kids or the bills. I mean the real stuff. Your fears, your dreams, what you're proud of, what you regret. Ask your spouse something today that you've never asked them before. You might be surprised by what you hear. And fifth, decide. Decide that your marriage is worth fighting for. Make that decision consciously, out loud if you have to. Because when things get hard, and they will get hard, you need to have already made that decision before the storm hits, not during it. Harold and I made that decision early, and we renewed it over and over again throughout 63 years. And I would do every single bit of it again. Harold passed 11 years ago, and I still set 2 coffee cups out every morning. I know he's not here. Don't worry, I know. But it just feels right. It just feels like the least I can do for 63 years of somebody who showed up. If you have somebody who shows up for you, somebody who is trying, I want you to go tell them right now that you love them. Don't wait. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until the timing is right. Don't wait until the argument is over. Go tell them. Because here's what 98 years on this earth has taught me. Time is the one thing you can never get back. And the people who love you, they are the only thing that ever really mattered anyway. Now go call your husband, or your wife, or whoever it is that you've been taking for granted, and make them a cup of coffee. That's all, honey. That's all.